Question of the Week from the Naked Scientists.
Hello and welcome to Question of the Week. I'm James Titko. This week's question comes in from listener David.
When a spider makes a web, is this passed on through the genes, or does the spider have to think about how to make a web?
Thank you, David. Spiders make webs for a variety of functions. Some to catch prey, to raise their young, or even as a mode of transportation with help from the wind. And the short answer to your question is, spiders do innately know how to build their webs. It's something they're born with, passed on through their genes by natural selection. But to explain how, and to provide some insights into the amazing variation in these silky structures across species, here's Professor of Evolutionary Biology and Genetics at the University of Nottingham and spider specialist, Sarah Goodacre.
Thanks, James. Like you say, each web is perfectly formed to fulfil its function. And if you get this wrong and it stops fulfilling the desired function, then the spider doesn't do so well and is much less likely to pass its genes on. I think Darwin would have found this a good example, actually, of how only the fittest survive. Molecularly, the silks are all actually quite similar to each other, but one key difference is in how the silk is spun and combined to produce all of these final products. We know that all of this diversity has occurred through millions of years of evolution. So, for example, some spiders need to be able to make sticky silk so they can glue their webs to a branch or to your windowsill, but they might also need stretchy silk that will be able to catch a passing fly. Some spiders backcomb their silk as well, using a special comb on their legs, and all of this involves delicate, intricate leg movements whilst they're reeling silks from their spinning glands, and they have to do this in the right time, using the right combinations and in the right ways.
Absolutely remarkable, isn't it? And despite how beautifully intricate they can seem, in competitive ecosystems, sometimes less is more when it comes to web design.
That's right. There's a skill in only using the minimum quantity of silk required as well, so as not to waste energy, because it's expensive to produce. And if a spider minimises the amount of energy required to make the silk, it can spend the rest of the energy it has on things like producing lots of spiderlings. And the key thing is that those spiderlings will have inherited those same genes for excellent judgment. And as an example of good judgment in this way, we know that some spiders alter the composition of their webs when they're in a windy tunnel, and they put more resources into those silks that hold the web firm in a windy tunnel so that the threads don't bend in the wind. And molecularly, we know how this works. It boils down to differences in the types of amino acid, so building blocks of proteins, and particular one of them called proline, which changes in the proportions that the spiders are able to use.
Are there any exceptions to these rules? Any other factors from the environment that might contribute to a different kind of spider's web?
So yes, there are some exceptions to the above rules, and one of them that's really conspicuous is the case of the parasitoid wasp that infects a spider and makes it spin a really strange looking web. And this is so that the wasp survives. It really is not for the spider's benefit. And whilst we don't know exactly how the wasp does this, what we think is that chemical cues from the wasp, from that species, changes what the spider does with its silk. It doesn't change necessarily the composition of the silk itself, but it changes what the spider does with it. And it's really dramatic if you see it. And given the time of year, and I know some of us on a Saturday evening, myself included, might be watching dancing on the telly, I can say that the change is as if instead of doing an elegant tango across the dance floor, the spider sort of starts doing a frantic break dance on the spot, and it creates this funny structure inside which the wasp stays safe.
Brings a whole new meaning to the word jitterbug, doesn't it? Terrific question, David. Thanks for sending that one in. And thanks to Sarah Goodacre, Professor of Evolutionary Biology and Genetics at the University of Nottingham, for helping us with the answer. Next time, we're answering this question from another listener.
Good morning from Houston, Texas. This is Pamela. And what I've been wondering about is that on Earth, roughly 99% of the element carbon is carbon-12 and 1% is carbon-13. Would chemical elements exhibit the same isotopic distribution on other planets? And what difference would this make?
Remember to have your say on this and all of our other questions on the forum. Log on to nakedscientists.com/forum. Be sure also to drop us a line If you have a question of your own, it's chris@thenakedscientists.com. Until then, from me, James Titko, thanks for listening and goodbye.
Question of the Week is part of the Naked Scientists podcast. Look us up online at nakedscientists.com.